cheat back, and then tell me if God restored your marriage. If you didn't cheat back, don't come up here telling me God restored your marriage, because I don't think that man would stay if you was out here fucking around. I don't think he would.
We are still on this conversation. We're talking about this testimony that this Christian wife came to talk about on TikTok. A lot of people are talking about it, and I cannot just stop listening to these videos because they keep popping up on my For You page. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions to share, which are making sense. A lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are actually reflecting back on what happened to them or what happened to their parents, or they just give me their 2 cents, and I could not actually put all the reaction in one video, so we had to break it. So if you've not seen the first video, which is the story time of this woman coming to talk about how she forgave her husband, how God actually restored her marriage after infidelity. Of course, this happened 6 years ago, but she just came out to share the testimony so that Christian wives or other women can also learn from her and also take back their cheating husband and clap for them and be happy. However, the husband cheated on her while she was pregnant. The first baby, he actually left the house and went to meet another woman while she was pregnant. Throughout her pregnancy, he only came back when she was about to put to bed, but still actually went back to meet. See, if you want to know this full story, I have already done the video. I'm going to link the video in the description box, and also the first reaction about other people talking about it in the description box as well. You need to watch these videos. You need to watch these videos to really understand what's going on before you can actually give your 2 cents as well, right? So let's go ahead and listen to what other people have to say in this video. Then I'm back to share my thoughts at the end of the video.
When my husband and I first separated, once we got back together, I ended up getting pregnant. Honestly, it wasn't really the best time because we were trying to work on our marriage, making a lot of intimacy, and now we have to also worry about having another baby. So we tried to make it work and just focus on ourselves. But honestly, me being pregnant and my husband was trying to work through things in his own feelings, and he kind of got to a place where he was like, look, it's too little too late. And he let me know, like, look, I just can't do this anymore. First sonogram that I got, I sent it to my husband, and he didn't even respond. Like, that's how clocked out he was of our relationship. And it wasn't until I want to say, like, a month or two, maybe 3 months later, that I found out that he was talking to someone at his job and they were in a relationship. The whole duration of my pregnancy, he is with that woman, and we have not communicated at all. No calls, no texts. He doesn't know anything about the baby. I don't know what's going on outside of, like, when I have conversations with his mom, and his mom is kind of telling me things. I'm believing that God is going to restore us, that he's going to change things around. And it was hard because I'm pregnant, I'm hormonal.
The God I serve has so much better for you. He has a man who's not going to abandon you during your pregnancy. He has a man who's not going to go and date someone else and completely ignore you for 9 months while you're carrying his child. Let's stop settling for less and saying that it's God. Please, I am such an advocate for women not to settle. When a man tells you he doesn't want you one time, especially while you're pregnant with his child, and he can ghost you the entire 9 months of the pregnancy, please tell me what you think that he is going to do when the child comes. He didn't care to check up on the health of the baby. He didn't attend not a prenatal appointment, not a doctor's appointment. And now you're sitting down and telling us that God has rejoined the two of you guys together. But if he acts like that during your pregnancy, how do you think he's going to be as a father? I mean, let's stop freestyling life and settling for less and doing whatever we want to do and then coming back and trying to write in God's signature by ourselves. I don't think that was God. I think that this man very clearly told you he did not want to be with you. And you still pursued the relationship anyway, and now you're trying to write God's signature in that plan. I am not trying to be disrespectful at all, but I feel like it's a popular thing in Christianity among us Christians to freestyle life and do what we want to do, especially settling, and then we try to say it's God's plan. Like, this is what God's had for me. We like to do whatever we want to do and then put God's signature on it at the end. God didn't intend for you to have a marriage where you're cheated on while you're pregnant and you're going through your pregnancy by yourself. That's not God. Like, I don't... We do things like settling for less, which you did do, and try to say, yes, God restored the marriage. No. You begged him to be with you. God didn't restore the marriage. You did that on your own. You settled for a man who left you for dead while you were pregnant. That has nothing to do with God. We need to honestly stop doing whatever we want to do and then coming back and telling everybody that it's God. I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Sisters in Christ, if the Lord is truly restoring your marriage, that is a beautiful thing. But you have to understand when some testimonies need to stay in the house, and then some testimonies need to stay among believers. Some things the world is just not going to understand. But these testimonies of God restoring your marriage is hurting the brain. It's hurting the brand, especially when the men you're married to are other believers. Listen, give me an unbeliever. At least I know what I'm getting. And sisters, we have to admit that sometimes it's not God who's restoring. We just have too much pride to get a divorce. We have too much pride. We don't want to admit defeat because a lot of us did that same thing. We married a Solomon. We married a David. We married a Samson. And this man is toxic and abusive. So just, all I'm saying is just be careful about the testimony you want to share to encourage. Because sadly, we have seen this before. So you can't blame the people for side-eyeing the Lord restored my marriage testimonies.
Do you ever notice it's only women that come on, like this app, for instance, and talk about their husbands betraying them in the most egregious, painful ways? But they were patient, they were forgiving, they trusted God's will, because there's usually a religious component in that somewhere. And somehow their husbands came back to them, their marriage was restored by God, and everything's okay now. You will never see a man talk about being betrayed by his wife in an awful, horrific way, and him telling other men to stay with that woman, stay with their wife, and try to fix their marriage. Only women do that. Only women do that to other women. I saw a video on my FYP of a very beautiful, charismatic, smart, engaging young woman talking about how her husband left her when she was pregnant. She went through the entire pregnancy alone. He went and was laying up with some other woman, had a whole relationship with another woman. But because she prayed, because she submitted to God's will, because she prayed for her husband and was patient, and most importantly, forgiving, he came back to her, their marriage was restored, now everything's fine. Only women peddle these types of lies to other women. You know, men wouldn't be able to do a lot of the horrible things that they do to women without other women being like accessories to the crime. That's why it's so important for older women and other women to come out and speak honestly about marriage, like I do on my page. Because we have to be able to counter this very dangerous narrative. Because although the messenger is young, beautiful, charismatic, the messenger is new, but the message as old as time. Women are supposed to suffer. We're supposed to endure. We're supposed to be patient. And we're supposed to do all of that in silence and in the spirit of forgiveness. And what's our prize? Our prize is a marriage and a man. And what I'm here to say is that I do think that women should endure. And I do think that women should find their strength, especially when they're going through a very difficult relationship. But the prize is going to be you. The prize is going to be your joy, your happiness, your freedom, your self-esteem, your independence, your power. I want that for myself. I want that for my daughters. And I want that for this next generation of women.
The God Restored My Marriage lady has a podcast with her husband. So a couple days ago, I went down this whole like rabbit hole. One interesting clip that I saw from their podcast was of her husband basically saying that he was raised by a single mom. And because of that, you know, he wasn't ready to be a man and all this other stuff. So there are plenty of people who don't have a good like example at home, and they still turn out to not be shitty people. So I don't really like that example. But anyways, this is why I always say, like, I don't think people saying that they want to stay together for their kids is a good example. Because their kids, yes, they are now going to have their mom and dad in the same household, but the fact that their mom and dad went through all of this chaos is literally always going to be a topic of conversation, because that's what they do for a living. She went from her long-suffering wife role into like a relationship specialist to reach out to other women who are in the same situation. So it's not even necessarily like this is something that happened and we moved on and we're better for it. It's literally something that is still a part of their life every single day.
All right, so that lady who said that
God restore her marriage. I'm not judging her, but everybody's talking about it, so I thought I'll put in my 2 cents as a child who grew up watching a woman allow a man to mistreat her for the sake of God, I guess, whatever. So for you women out there, men staying in a marriage for the sake of the kids, it's a big mistake. Personally, I don't feel like people actually stay in a marriage for the sake of the kids. I think they stay in a marriage for the sake of the aesthetic. I think that they may not want the aesthetic of the marriage. They may not care, but they want their children to have that aesthetic of having the mom and dad in the household. Now, again, I'm not judging that lady because her story, that's a whole nother breakdown in itself. Yeah. But as for me, my parents were married for 40 years. Until my mother's dying day. I begged my mother to leave my daddy when I was 9 years old because my daddy is just not a good person. But she didn't. She stayed. I had a decent life, went to private school. I played golf. I played tennis, I did a lot of things. But I can 99.9% assure you my life would have been better without my dad. Now, I will admit a lot of the tools that he gave me are great. Going to private school put me in connections in places I may not have been in without him. Playing golf and tennis, especially being a black girl, put me in places that I wouldn't have been without him. But those places didn't take me anywhere in life because he's not a good person. And we could talk about that in another video. But the fact is, my mama stayed with a man who she should have left a long time ago. And now it has taken its toll on me. She gone. She died October 23rd of last year. And I'm still dealing with the remnants of her decision to stay with a man who she shouldn't have married in the first place. My mom got sick last year and I found a diary. I told her I did. She told me to read it. That diary spanned over 20 years or almost 20 years of things. Her thoughts, her feelings, her hopes, her dreams. And every page of that diary at some point asked for my father to be changed and for God to change him and to help her marriage. That same man that she asked to change told me during the time where I was engaged to my ex-husband, going down Earhart Highway, he said, you can't change no man, no matter what you do. God don't change people. He gives them the opportunity to change. He gives them the free will to decide if they want to change or not, but he does not make them change. So if God can't make a person change, what makes you think you can? That's what that man told me. And he was right. I ended up divorcing my husband. And I don't believe in divorce. But I did what I had to do at that time. 40 years. 40 years and then my mother died. And my daddy is still the same. My daddy is still not a good person. He has not changed. He is not remorseful. He is grateful to have a woman who loved him, no matter what. 40 years and my mother didn't get not an ounce of happiness in the marriage that she had with my dad. Now I'm left to not only mourn my mother, but I have to mourn her life because her life was not a good one with my father. So I am grieving my mother that she's gone because me and her were very close. I am grieving her life because she didn't fulfill none of her dreams. Everything, she put all of her dreams, hopes, and aspirations aside for my father. And he didn't even help her attain anything. I I am grieving my life because it was fake. The private schools, the nice house, the pictures, the this, the that, it was bullcrap. And there were things going on in the house I had no idea what was going on until my mother died and people started talking. And I guess they didn't tell me because it would have got to my mother's side of the family. And I can reassure you, if my mama's side of the family knew what my daddy was doing my mama, my daddy wouldn't be here. I am grieving my relationship with my father because I resent him. I resent him for making my mother so miserable. I resent him for not being apologetic. I resent him for still breathing. And my mother is not. So I'm not just grieving my mother. I am grieving this fictitious life they have given me. And I have to now readjust at 40 years old my train of thought and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. And everything that I know, so that I won't make the same mistake. Because what my son won't do is grieve my life. He has to grieve me. I have to go. I would hate to be the one to have to bury him. I want him to bury me long from now. But when he buries me, I want him to be like, baby, my mama didn't play. She lived her life. She did what she wanted. And now she's gone. I don't want him crying because I lived for a man and then I died. Because that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And I can tell that when I read a lot of comments and watch a lot of videos, I could pretty much tell who parents were married and who parents wasn't. It's obvious. Because a lot of y'all have these fairy tale concepts of what love and marriage should be. And with that being said, every marriage, every relationship, I don't care if it's a friendship, a marriage, a relationship between child and parent, every relationship has its ups and downs because people are different. Nobody, if somebody is doing and agreeing with everything you say and do, run. They might just be a serial killer. But you ain't helping your children stand in that loveless marriage because they see. And a lot of times they're probably going to repeat it. Unfortunately. Because that's all they know. They don't know how to function any other way. I would have rather my mother be a single mom than to go around staying with this man. When I think about, when I have to reminisce on my mother's life to try to find the good times, there are none that include my father outside of him giving her me. Because I'm pretty sure, because she couldn't have children, so I'm pretty sure she was happy to have a child. Because she wasn't supposed to have kids. Her fallopian tubes was crushed. Outside of that, I can't think of any good times with my parents. I can think of good times with me and my mom and her sisters, my mom and her nieces and nephews and cousins. I could think of those. But anytime I think about them two together, there is none but her bowing down to his every beck and call, and I'm not pleased. Now, I'm not telling you to run off and not tolerate nothing your husband do and everything, because he's human. Your husband is human. Your wife is human. They're going to make mistakes. It's up to you to decide when you're going to draw the line. But never drawing a line and just allowing somebody to mistreat you and praying for God to change somebody that he said he ain't changing. They got to change on their own, that he said he was giving free will to. It's bullcrap. That's my TED Talk. I ain't used my 10 minutes. Do what thou wills with that.
I saw the video where the girl said God restored her marriage. And the first thing I'm going to say, in sake of everyone who's religious, because, like, I understand, like, okay, you have these beliefs, sure. But honestly, if someone does all that to you, they can go find God and be a better person without doing it to your expense. They don't have to be with you to be a better person. And you don't have to be with them for them to be a better person or to show that you forgave them or to show that you believed in God. I don't know what that crazy like ideology is that, oh, you have to tolerate the things that people have done to you. Like, no, you can forgive someone and not be around them. Like, my mom and my dad got divorced after so many years of people telling her that she needed to trust God, she needed to pray for God to change him. Let me tell you, that was when I was like 12, which was a decade ago, and I'll tell you now, my dad is still the same crappy person he was from day one. Like, he never changed. And I'm not saying that people can't change, but why does that constitute him having to be with you? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And then everyone in the comments, I feel bad. I didn't stitch the video because I don't want women to like see that video and just think that that's okay. A lot of women are like, oh, I've been going through the same thing and your video has helped me. No, like, you shouldn't be looking online for any help or anything. Like, if something hurts you and you don't feel comfortable with it, like, sure, maybe it worked out for her. I don't even know. I don't know her. She that's what she really, really believes. That's her. But that's also not always going to be the case. And you can't put one situation onto everyone else's. And like I said, that's not always going to be the case. And even then, if that really hurt you, like, you should leave, because you can't heal in the same place that broke you down. And I just think that it's just really sad that we tolerate a lot of things that people do to us because of God, because of religion, You could do things like forgive and watch them grow and stuff, and none of that could be your responsibility. That's not your responsibility. And like, getting cheated on and getting hurt on over and over again isn't love. Like, that's really it. It isn't love.
Some women, they always say that I am leaving this, or I am not going to leave this marriage because of my children. I'm going to stay in the abusive marriage because of my children. If you watch my videos, you know that I always say that it's selfish, because I just feel like they are just lying to themselves. It's that you're staying there because of yourself, or you're staying there because you're ashamed of what people will say. According to one of the series, someone said they are staying there because of aesthetics, and which makes sense, because some people just want the fact that I don't want my child to be fatherless, or I don't want to be a single mother. I want my child to grow up and have a father, and also a father figure, and also a mom. Even though the father is not doing the work of a father, they just want it to be there. Like, just be a father, just be standby and have that name and that title to my children. So most women, even though they're unhappy in that relationship, they stay because they just want that father figure. And again, I also heard that some women stay in this kind of marriage because they do not want to have different children for different men, which doesn't make sense. So I'm going to stay in marriage that I'm unhappy, abusive, a lot of things, right? And just because I still want to have other children, I'll stay in that place and still have children with that same man that is irresponsible. So most women are staying there because they want to have one father to all their children. A lot of things that women do in sake of society, or because they are ashamed of what people will say, or because they just feel like it's the right thing, which is wrong. And that is what is going on in this woman's case. I feel like she feels like she has done the right thing. That's why she has that boldness and courage to come out after 6 years later to talk about this whole thing. And I feel like, according to people, they say she has a podcast and she's a relationship coach. So she's actually coaching people and, telling people how to, okay, really, really. Really, I just feel like she doesn't love herself enough, and she feels like she could change that man, or that man can change, or she's just trying to see the good in people. And that's what women do. That's what we women do. And that's what most we women do. We always try to see the good in people. Like, okay, let me see if this person is going to actually change. Let me see if it's going to... Most of them, they don't change. You can listen to other people's story. People are saying that they won't change. They don't always change. And that is the thing. That is the lie we keep telling ourselves, that, oh, this person is going to change later on. For him to come back, to come and meet you after doing that, is because that other woman pushed him away. It's because there was no other way. And he came back to you to come and test you if you're still going to accept him. It's not like he realized. He knows what he was doing. He left you the time you needed him the most. And now you're coming out to say, God spoke to you. A lot of people were also saying that why are we not seeing videos of men coming out to talk about how God restored their marriage after infidelity? Men are not going to take that. Most men don't accept their wives when they go out to cheat. But we women, we always clap for our husband. We always hug them when they come back after they go out to cheat. Is it that God don't speak to the men? Or it's just women God speaks to? Sometimes when you want to put God in this kind of thing, I wonder if God don't speak to men, because most of the time is the men will leave you. In fact, it's not a conversation. Father, you left the house to go meet another man when he was sick or something. His family members are even going to, the way they will pursue you from that house. It's not possible for you to come back to the house and now he will now come out boldly and say, God spoke to me that you, sister. Anyways, what is your take? I know you've been dropping your 2 cents in all the part 1, part 2, part 3, but still let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, we are not tired of talking about it. We need to talk about it because a lot of people feel that this is norm, why it is not. So we have to clear the air and say this is not okay. Like, sis, you're not okay. Okay, you just have to accept that they're not. It's not normal. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in today's video. It's your favorite girl again, Maria Davis, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you can get notified once I upload another interesting video. And of course, I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.